What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alpha Variant Podcast. This is our first episode, and I want to welcome Danny Swole, and I want to welcome Joe Logan. Guys, I appreciate you guys being on the channel today. Basically, we're going to be talking today about mental health, all around. We have two military guys here. Are you guys both still active? You're out? You're still in?
I'm still in.
Yeah, I'm a veteran.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys for serving, and I appreciate you guys for putting yourselves out there to kind of tell everybody just your stories and everything when it comes down to mental health, because mental health is so important. And, a couple of weeks ago, everybody, me and Danny were at the gym, and, Danny rushed out of the gym to go help a fellow person that was in the military that was talking about self-harming himself. And I came up with the idea. I said, why don't we talk about this and see how many people that can listen and get help from this? So, Danny, why don't you give your background first and kind of tell everybody what you're about?
Yeah. I'm Danny Jacob. I'm 27 years old. I've been in the Air Force since 2013. I joined right out of high school, and I picked up fitness and bodybuilding through just kind of, again, searching to take care of my mental health, since that is the topic we're talking about today. So I'll link it to that. And through the years, just having my own anxiety and depression issues, just like a lot of people have, I've found ways to utilize the gym and fitness to cope with it. And over the years, kind of growing through the fitness industry and evolving through social media and building a platform to talk about why fitness is one of my key things to help with my mental health. And one of my key things I like to talk about, not just on my social media in general, to people that are in the fitness industry, is taking care of yourself. And I think doing that, number one, is telling people that, hey, your brain and your heart and the size of your brain, and taking care of your brain, your heart will outweigh any type of bicep measurement, delt size, quad size, anything like that.
Of course.
I just want the world to know, especially with just people listening now more, is that it's okay not to be okay. And it's first and foremost, you have to always take care of yourself first, but have your friends and people that you love back second. Everyone in this world is important, and no one ever should feel like they aren't. And if they are feeling the type of way that they are in a low or depressed, dark spot, understand that there's always resources. There's people that love them,
Of course,
out there to help. And I think that message is important, and that's why these podcasts like this are what are key to just people listening and tuning in.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that the fact that we can help people from doing this is just, it's very rewarding. You know what I mean? A lot of people think everything, life's about fame, life's about this, money. It's not. It's really about making an impact. My best quote I've ever said is that life's about making an impact, not an income. If I can help somebody, or we can help anybody, if it's just one person, that's really doing a justice to everybody. Because we were talking about the other day that male masculinity is just on the uprise, where people think you can't be a big man and break down and have issues. You're just expected to deal with them, and that's not right. But Joe, why don't you give us a little bit of background about you?
A little bit about me. Name is Joe Logue. I joined the United States Marine Corps in 2010. I was medically retired in 2015. What to say?
Well, why is this important to you to get done? Why is this, to you, coming personally from you, is this something that you think is extremely important?
For me, it's important because when I first came home, all I did was drink. I didn't have any resource. I thought I couldn't. I was still that military macho man where I had to just suck it up. And so I was just pounding liquor every day until the point where I tried to take my life. I just took as many pills as I could.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't rushed to the hospital by my wife, I know I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And honestly, man, it's stuff like that, telling your stories like that, man. I told a story, a couple of weeks ago about how I was in the fitness industry, as a videographer, lost my job, had a head injury. I was dying from a head injury. And I was at my lowest point in my life. And I thought about the same thing, about taking my life. And the thing is, man, is that when you can let it out and actually tell other people, it feels better on your end, because it's facing the things you've overcome. You know what I mean? And on top of that, I think the biggest thing is when you see these social media guys or these big guys in the gym, you see these guys that look in shape, that they're all there. Sometimes they're not. You know what I mean? It's so hard to see internally what people are going through, and that's kind of where it is. You know, Danny's not scared to say what he wants to say. I've seen his post, and regularly when I see bigger guys trying to do posts in the gym, I kind of judge them in a way. I'm like, I hope they're not an asshole. I've never gotten that from Danny because it just seems like his messages are always about helping people. You know what I mean? I remember you did something about, you were talking bad about yourself, and I think it was reactions, Danny, from people that read things in posts or whatever, but you were really sticking up for all those other people. I mean, it was like a negative thing. It was like I think about a year ago, but that's when I really started following your content, and you were like, I forget the names you're calling yourself, but I was just like, why is he saying all this? So I tuned in. I was like, and you were basically saying like, avoid all the haters, avoid all the hate that's out there. And that message stuck up to me because there's a lot of people out there that have nothing good going with their lives, and they don't care. They just want to hate, man, trolls. But mental health's everything when it comes to that stuff. You have to take that negative energy and apply it somewhere else. And you know what, so the gym obviously our outlets, but what other things do you guys do to take care of your mental health besides that, when you see that you're maybe struggling a little bit more than usual?
If
You want to go?
No, go ahead.
If we're being honest, and I don't mean to sound funny or nothing, but I smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah.
Like,
Amen. Amen to that.
like when
Lucky you.
I've yeah, you're still in, unfortunately, but
No, you're good. You're good.
but
The devil's
it's
lettuce.
that's what I thought at first. When I first got out, I was just like, oh, I'm just smoking just to
Yeah.
get high, and then I realized like my mind would be racing at 1,000 miles an hour,
Of course.
thinking about like, oh, what do I have to do here? What do I have to do there? When do I have to get to this appointment?
Yeah,
And then I would smoke, and I'd just be like, oh, I can take this one at a time.
of course.
And that's a lot of people, and I'm a father too.
Yeah.
So when I tell people like, oh yeah, I smoke marijuana, I automatically get judged as you're not a good dad, you're lazy,
Of course.
you probably don't do nothing with your life.
Yeah.
But that's really what helps me and keeps me calm.
I was extremely ashamed of smoking marijuana because I was in law enforcement. So I've never had anything against it. I think it's strictly for people that need it. And when I got hurt and I had a severe head injury, I was paying $800 a month for medication for my seizures. That was making me worse. It was making me more suicidal. I was crying. I lost my memory. I woke up in a Dunkin' Donuts one time. I had no idea how I got there, but it was from the medication. And I don't believe in big pharma. I started taking edibles for sleep because I couldn't sleep for almost a year and a half. It was awful. 2 hours a night I was getting sleep. And once I took all the bad big pharma out of my body and I started doing, THC and experimenting with that stuff, everything went away. Haven't had a seizure in 6 months. And I don't encourage people unless they really want to do it, but it's medicine, man. And I think of it as just an organic medicine. I don't believe in big pharma ever.
No, I
Seriously.
1,000% agree. Dan, if you don't mind me asking you, still being in the military, does the VA work for you guys?
As far as like in what aspect do you mean?
Like I don't know if you see a psychiatrist or like
Yeah,
take
yeah.
any
Okay.
medication. Like
So
this.
I'll explain to you how mental health is in the Air Force, I should say, because every branch is different. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Marines. I don't know Army, but on the Air Force side, we have multiple outlets for mental health. Depending on your job, specifically in the Air Force, if you're a flyer, we have flight medicine, which is a whole different part of the medical facility, which is strictly to us, right? For mental health incidences, if you are going through some stuff and you have like traumatic things that are happening, losses of your friends' lives or things like that, you can go talk to mental health people. However, there's also the thing where, depending on how severe
This
it
is
is,
this is our mixer girl, Lexi,
Hey,
by the
how's it
way.
going?
Hey, Lexi.
Hey.
depending on how it is, there is stipulation with that. They will ground you. So if you are going to mental health saying like, hey, like, I'm suicidal or something of that nature, they will ground you from flying. So, or with that being said, also, if you need things to help you, they will supply you with medication. Again, with that being said, you will not be able to fly if you are a flyer. In my case, I am a flyer. So understanding that, there are other resources, Military One Source, MFLAG, all these other avenues that we could take to talk chapel that are there for your help. But as far as like the actual medical side of things, if you go to the medical side, yes, they'll help you. They're excellent people. I know many people actually work in mental health, but on the flying aspect in the Air Force, which applies to me specifically, there are stipulations which would require me not flying. And one of the biggest things I always tell people about this is one of the things that it is on the top 5 things, the happiest things that make me happy is flying. I've flown over 2,600 hours in the Air Force on a KC-10, which is the aircraft I fly on, and
It's like a natural body high.
and at 25,000 feet in the air, no bullshit. There's no Instagram, TikTok. There's no girlfriend, boyfriend, family member. Now it's just you in the air with maybe a student, or evaluatee, an instructor, and you're refueling planes in the air. And it sounds crazy, but it's just like, you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden F-22 Raptor or A-10 or comes up underneath you looking for some fuel, and you're doing that. It looks like a video game, and it's like, I'm 27 years old. I've been doing it for 10 years now. It's just like, it never gets old. And every time I go up there, it's like euphoria. And it sounds corny because a lot of people that do my job like, oh, you've been doing it for so long. Like, no, I've been doing it for so long, and I wouldn't change it. If I go back to 17 and doing it again, I'd do it all over again. I've traveled the world. I get to fly for a living. It's insane. So with the whole mental health side, being a flyer, I know what my avenues are. I'm smart about it. I take care of myself, and I know the resource I need to go to in case I do have something that is going on in my life, personal life, or others.
Damn. Wow, man. And this isn't planned either. This is just him talking. I love it.
I will say though, being groundside, we hated you guys because when you flew us, you guys would always like to just do like 360s or like some type of shit, but you would get us throwing up everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you guys had the A-10s coming, and I know you guys would hear them like just low and loud. But that's the one thing I will say, because I know we get a lot of shit for the Air Force being Chair Force, and I'll be straight with you. The Chair Force is pretty accurate description for a lot of the things that people do. Not in a negative way. It's just like there's not a lot of things that require us to be out in the field doing like actual stuff. We have special forces. We have all that stuff. Yes, we do, 100%. But a lot of the time, myself, I'm in the airplane. I'm sitting in a chair refueling another plane. There's people that work at desks in chairs, offices for the most part of their jobs in the Air Force. However, how I look at it, and because I have hundreds of Marines, Navy, all my buddies in different services, we're all doing something to complete one mission in a sense, and that's why I respect the work that they do. I would never be able to do the things that the special forces guys do. First of all, I'd have to lose all my size. Secondly, I just like the mental aspect of it. Like, you have to be a little crazy to do it, which is why they're so badass and why they're so amazing and heroic. But the biggest thing I always tell people is, like, everyone has a choice when they join the military. You sign a piece of paper knowing that you're taking this job. So if you're gonna hate on me for being in the Air Force and going to being at a Hilton eating shrimp when I'm TDY, and you're in a tent eating MREs, bro, like, I'm sorry, like, I made that choice, and you made that choice, and you know what, man, like, I'm happy, and like, but I got nothing but love for like everyone. That's why it's like when people on social media, it's so toxic, people like, Air Force, Chair Force. I'm like, yes, I love my job, correct, Chair Force, and they're expecting me to get upset, but I'm like, I'm not mad. I love my job. Why do you think I'm 27 in for 10 years, and I've re-enlisted. I've loved my job. So yeah, Chair Force me all day, bro. I
see people all the time doing that. They're just like, if you're not a Marine, you're nothing. And I'm like, listen, if you're serving this country, you're serving this country. I said, you're doing more. And I'm sorry, I know you're a Marine, Joe, but I'm saying, it just comes down to it, is that you're serving our country.
Absolutely. I was just gonna say, like, when I mess around and I get like, oh, the Cheer Force or whatever the case, I'm messing around with my brothers, right? Yeah. We all do it. I know that there's guys and
but I see it on social media all
the
time.
Really serious. I'm like, you guys are like ridiculous. Like,
dude, the ones that are serious, I'm like, you're really something like that's something's you're upset about something in your life. That's when people take anything negative energy, they talk shit, and it's like you think it's joking at first, but then they're like, oh, you're serious, you're really mad. I'm like, I feel almost bad. I'm like, I'm sorry you're going through some shit to where you had to take the time to write a paragraph about my career choice while you're probably sitting at home with a bush light on your couch. Like, I'm sorry. Like, but at the end of the day, I'm never in turn when someone says something like that. The best thing, again, and then I talk about this, is one of the topics I want to talk about, is I always handle it with something positive, like positive reinforcement. Like, if you're gonna hate and say something bad, so like, hey man, I appreciate it, bro. And what I usually do, I usually go to that person's profile and say it's like Joe, and he likes riding Harleys. I'll go to his profile, he'll be like, hey, Chair Force, how does it feel to be a POG, do nothing all day type pencil pusher? Like, hey Joe, I appreciate the comment, I love my job. I'll go to his page and be like, hey man, I love your Harley, keep riding and being an awesome dad, because you see he has pictures with the kids. Yeah. And half the time, actually 70% plus the time, they're like, haha, just kidding, bro, like, you look great. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, you
Think
wanted,
about how that could have went left. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
no, 100%,
And
yeah.
that does happen sometimes.
All
And
the
again,
time.
there are some people that just get highly offended because, again, the military or whatever you served and whatever you did, it is a sensitive topic to some
100%.
people. So again, it's his wrong for doing that, but in the same sense, you have such a positive reinforcement that he kind of looks like, oh, this is actually a nice guy, and he knows I'm just busting balls. In the military, they bust balls. That's all they do. I worked with military guys all the time. I just thought it was funny. I wanted to get in the military when I was 17, and I remember my principal saying to me, he's like, be a man, be a Marine. Because I was thinking about the Air Force or his National Guard or something, and he goes, just be a man and be a Marine. He's like, they're the badass guys. I said, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, this guy never served. But it's always the same, like, be a Marine, do this. But then you don't find out till later on in life, like later on, that like the Air Force is actually the way to go in some ways. You hear the
Literally.
benefits of it. They don't tell you the benefits of it.
That is
And
what
it's
we
just
all
funny
say.
as hell. Yeah.
Every Marine will say, like, man, I wish I joined the Air Force.
Oh.
And the
Like-
thing is like, again, it's all about your personality. If you want to do some like knocking down door shit, like I honestly, like, I wish sometimes I could just experience it for a week to know what it's like, because I will never know, and I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But there's some people that's what they're starting out to do, and they love it. And guess what? Like, they look back, they're like, yeah, maybe I wish I did other things, but they're proud as hell of what they did, and that's all that matters
course.
at the end of the day. Is like what you've done, and you chose that job, and years down the road, you're like, shit, man. You look back and something to tell your kids about,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. Because like, guess what? You're just gonna grow old. You're gonna look back on your Air Force, Marine, Army, Navy career, Coast Guardsman, whatever you did, and be like, it may be different from what he did, but I still did something cool, in my opinion, and that's all that matters. Like,
Seriously. And I think it's crazy because I dated a girl that her father was in the Army, and he actually told me that his first time that he served was actually in the Marines. I said, well, why did you go from the Marines to the Army? He goes, I just wanted better equipment. He said the Army at the time had better equipment. He goes, the Marines just had jacked up shit at the time. He's like, it's
Still
it is
like
what it
that.
is. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, all right. Because again, you don't know. And he ended up retiring as an E9. You know, he
Nice.
was a sergeant major.
Yep.
Yeah, and making bank. Got
Yeah.
off his last deployment from Iraq, and I think he made like 160,000. And a lot of people don't know is when you are deployed, is that you're getting BAH, right?
tax free.
And it's tax free. When they say, because again, when people are like, I make 160 a year, you're really making 90. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then when you're overseas, you can't get
also
taxed on it.
You also get like combat pay.
Combat
and,
pay,
like, other
hazardous duty
things.
pay, all
Yeah.
that other stuff.
And
Which I
people
wouldn't
don't know that.
because,
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the Air Force. I don't know. I'm still fine.
But to go back to like talking about like masculinity and like like people to like reach out to, just like more for like our military like members. When you said you had the chapel, is it now like more encouraged to like, hey, if you guys need to talk to the chapel, you can do it. Like, please go do it.
Oh yeah, it's we actually have, which is it's pretty cool when I would be deployed and also stateside. We have like big events and stuff happening. There's usually a chaplain, and it's not only just like Christian. It's sometimes Muslim, Sikh, like Jewish, everything, every different type of chapel leader for the different organizations come through and talk. And usually it's just to give like a blessing to like the area that you're in. Like, hey guys, I just want to let you guys know we're here. We thank you for what you do. There's a lot of people that would never do the sacrifices. All you know, all the Air Force, Marine talk, everything that they're pretty much a blessing, right? But also at the end of it, they tell you and encourage you, hey, like as a resource, they're one of the people that you can actually go talk to where they will not say anything to your command. So depending on if you killed someone, there's obviously stipulation with it, right? But when it's something you just want to talk about and get off your chest and vent to, like, hey, what do you think of this? Yeah, they encourage it a lot. Chapel is one of the highest things actually people go talk to, because in a deployed environment, there's not like a military one source person there. There's not an MFLAC. There's not a organization specifically in those deployed locations that you can go talk to, but there's always a chaplain. And there's people in there that go to hang out. There's activities they do for them. I mean, there's so much stuff. Every single deployment, I remember I'd go in there because they had nice massage chairs, and I'd be like, I'd vent, and then I'd sit in a massage chair for like 2 hours, and he would just be like, all right, man, like you're cool with God, so go chill, go chill in the chair.
And just
now.
to clarify for civilians, you guys are talking about a place to go that's, you know, you can go and talk to somebody, like the definition of a chaplain.
It's almost like a priest,
Okay.
but the priest is also kind of like a therapist
Yeah.
as well. Like you can tell him or her like confidential stuff.
Okay.
But like he said, if you're saying like, oh, I'm literally about to go kill so and so,
Yeah.
he's like, okay, well I have to take that off your chain
Of
of
course.
command.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's different stipulations. I'm not going to sit here and break down because there's different
levels,
different
different
levels.
tiers, yeah.
But the biggest thing and the coolest thing about it is, again, with today's world, everyone's from different backgrounds, race, ethnicity, religion. It doesn't matter what you are. I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to like in which I don't really understand. I never really understood like Sikh and Hinduism, like the religion itself.
Yeah.
And I vented to someone that was a chaplain in that religious preference, and after I was done, I was like, hey, can you like teach me a little bit about like what like your readings and the religion, because
Yeah.
I'm talking to you as just like a venting person, but you're a chaplain, so you also teach
Yeah.
like your religion itself, right? So no matter what you are, like as far as preference, even if you don't have one,
There's
they'll
no
listen
judge.
to you.
Yeah, of
It can be
course.
Catholic, Christian, whatever it is, and that's the coolest thing with the you say chaplain, you automatically think, oh, religion. Well, no, it's just a person you can go to talk to. Yes, they teach the readings. Yes, they do this, but their main thing, and especially in the military, is just being there,
Yeah.
giving blessing, saying a prayer. So I think is amazing.
Now, has it changed over time, like since you first got in? Because when I first got in, that we got told you can talk to the chaplain, and then our NCOs would look right at us and be like, "You're not going to the fucking chaplain."
No,
Like,
so yes, for us, since I've been in, because I don't even call them deployments. My deployments are 2.5 months. That's nothing. But over time, when you do 2.5 months, come home for a month and go back, it adds up, right?
Right.
So 7 deployments, which are not deployments to me, they're like little TDYs that we'd go there. Each one of those, every single time, one of the briefs we get every single time we go there is about the chaplain, and then it's encouraged. It's been encouraged since I got in. Even boot camp, when I went to boot camp, on Sundays, it's kind of your day off. You just kind of lounge, clean your dorm. I didn't know what to do, so I would go to the like the different teachings they had, and I'd go to like a Christian one. I went to a Wicca one, I think it was, really interesting, and different ones. But they pushed it on you, like, hey, like you don't have to be into this, but if you want something just to like feel like free your spirit, go ahead. So since I've been in on the chaplain side, it's never been discouraged. No one's looked down on you for it. I will say, I'm sure in a different career field, if you're talking special forces, you're talking about the guys that are doing AFSOC, Air Force, Special Operations Command, stuff like that. I'm sure people have been looked down at for getting help in certain aspects. Because I've talked to my buddies that have told me stories. Not saying it's true or not, but it depends on your job. You got to think of it like if there's a mission that needs to happen and you're feeling emotional and you feel you can't do it, I'm sure your leader's like, no, don't go. They want you to be part of that mission. So I can't speak on it. I haven't lived it, but in my specific experience, I've always had the free way to go and actually get help and get encouraged to get help if I need it with the chaplain.
that's really cool to hear. Like I said, because during my 5 years I was in, it was always like the chaplain would come and talk to us, like, oh yeah, you can always talk to me, and then your NCOs would come, or your staff NCOs would be like, no, the fuck you're not. You're fine.
Yeah.
Suck it the fuck up.
Yeah, right.
Like, so I and even like for the VA, when I first got out in 2015, the VA was just hiring garbage like doctors that were lost their license and stuff, and I was told when I first was seen that, oh, you're fine, get over it. I was like, this ain't World War II. Like, what the fuck are you telling me?
Yeah.
So like,
There's a stigmatism now that I always hear is that I have so many friends that are in and out of the military, and I had a lot of guys that were older military, and the stigmatism now is that the military is way too soft. Is that they're very soft on people, but I think in a sense, they've noticed over time that they've had to taking care of people's mental health. They noticed that the way they were handling things wasn't the right way of doing things. And again, I've never been in, but from what I heard, they just say that, oh, they practically give out, this and that. They can have cell phones in boot camp now. They can do this. They're soft. Maybe they should be a little bit more strict with the cell phones and stuff. I get it, but at the same time, they need to focus on the mental health of people, and not just saying you're not okay. You know what I mean? It's just that's so wrong in my opinion. Is like, you guys are serving the country. If you're going through something, you need someone to help you, whether it's big, small, whatever. I mean, you're doing a part of serving us.
I say a lot of the people that say soft are they're older heads that just, it's a different time.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's a different time. However, there's a lot of stuff I do agree with that is super soft and not on the emotional, like mental health support side, more or less just like,
that's what we
phones,
need.
like just like little stuff here and there. Yes, it's just like it isn't needed. No, however, the world is changing. It's evolving.
Yeah.
These kids are growing up differently than how I was raised and how you were raised, and same thing with guys 20 years younger than us. They didn't have cell phones. MySpace was like, you didn't even know what that was. Like, so it's when you're looking at like you're looking at a 40-year-old dude on Facebook looking at a kid, talking about how he had a cell phone at boot camp. He's probably so mad about that.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen 20 years from. I'm probably gonna look at something 20 years from now that my son or a friend I know that is in, and I'll be like, wow, that's crazy. But it's change. I talked about this on a post yesterday. I was like, you may not agree with how the world is changing, styles, trends, the hairstyles, shoes, this and that. You may not agree with it. You may not even want to wear it. But however, to understand and adapt and move forward in life, you have to understand it and respect it and be a part of it. Not saying do the trends. However, just understand in your mind, like, hey man, this is what's going on. So instead of knocking it and being so upset and taking all that anger and madness out on that person doing that certain trend or certain thing that's popular now, just like, all right, cool, it's not me, but he's doing it, cool, because there's going to be something else and something else. Like the prime example is like in the gym culture now, right? You see people's haircuts, the things that they wear, and it's like people are hating on it. I'm like, this is stuff from the 80s that just is coming back.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
They're just not. Some people are just scared of adjusting, but we got to adjust at all times. But with that being said, we do have 30 seconds of this break. Everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have everybody bathroom break, drink, get something to eat. We'll be back very soon and shortly, guys.
Sweet.
See ya.